Hi guys, today is Saturday, March 28th, 2020, but I will be posting this video on Monday. Yep, and Monday is March 30th. This is going to be our writing video for our fairy tale unit. I'm going to pause it just for a second. So as I was saying earlier, this is going to be one of our last writing videos for our fairy tale units. So many of you have sent me your fairy tales, and I'm just really excited to see that you guys are pushing yourselves through this and you're still doing the work. So I'm going to start by sharing our screen so we can talk about what our learning intentions are for today. And I was on the news, so give me a second while I switch that up. And 1 second, guys. I don't think that's it. All right, here we go. So remember, you can repeat our learning intentions after me at home. You can repeat after me. Like if I say something, you can say something after me out loud. So let's look at our learning intention for today. We're going to use a checklist to ensure we've written a great fairy tale adaptation. Our success criteria: how do we know we've been successful today? By the end of our writing lesson today, I've thoroughly checked my fairy tale adaptation, that it has a BME, which means beginning, middle, and end. It has dialogue. It has different dialogue tags, juicy words, similes, and or metaphors. And then our language intention for today: in order to improve my fairy tale adaptation, I still need to and our social intention: I do the work even when no one is looking. So instead of using a recipe card today, I actually wanted to show you our checklist. I'm actually going to ask you to take out your writer's notebook because I do want you to copy this checklist down. As I'm reading it to you, you can start copying it down, and if you need to pause it so that you can copy it and have some extra time to copy, you can do that as well. So here's a checklist. First box: is it clear which original fairy tale I have adapted? And so I'm going to use this checklist for my own story. My story is Arella. No, so is it clear which original fairy tale I adapted? Yes, because Arella is based on Cinderella, right? So for sure, when I read it to you guys, you're like, oh, that's kind of like the story Cinderella, but with a cat and a few changes. Our second box: do I have a beginning, middle, and end? Is there a conflict? Is there a solution? Well, I've read most of my fairy tale to you, and it does have a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. Is there a conflict? Is there a problem? Yes, the problem is we have Caterella's evil stepsister, or not step, yeah, evil stepsisters and evil stepmother who are jealous of her, and so they make her do all the work and don't let her go to the ball. Is there a solution? Well, at the end of the story, we see that Prince Meow ends up finding her and wants to marry her. Do I have an engaging introduction? I'm going to go through the rest of it, and then I'm going to read my fairy tale one last time just to make sure that I can check some of these things off. Like, do I have an engaging introduction? Did I use onomatopoeia, or did I begin my story with dialogue? Do I describe the setting in detail? My next box: do I have at least 10 examples of dialogue throughout the story? If you have more than 10, that's awesome. We should have a lot of dialogue through our story because it helps move the story along. Let's see. Did I use juicy words such as interesting adjectives and verbs? Do I have different dialogue tags instead of just the word said? Do I have at least 2 examples of similes and or metaphors? Did I finish my fairy tale adaptation with a bang? And did I edit my fairy tale adaptation? Did I edit for punctuation and capitalization? Am I missing periods? Did I forget to capitalize anything? Those are all things that I'm going to be thinking about, and I have it written down in my notebook. So as I'm reading, I'm going back, and I'm going to show you how I go back to the checklist. I want to make sure that I have the best fairy tale possible. So give me 1 second as let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna exit out of here so I can show you guys my finished fairy tale. All right, here we go, guys. So Arella, and I just want to show you I wrote about 5 pages. There's a lot of description in here, so I'm excited. Let's see. The sun was high in the sky, and pink clouds lingered over Catarella's 2-story brick house in Manhattan, New York. Sparrows sang perched on honey locust trees. Butterflies fluttered their brightly colored wings as Catarella sang in her garden, pruning her white roses. Catarella was a very beautiful gray cat with a thick coat and lovely eyes the color of emeralds. Catarella had lost her mother as a child to sickness, and she lived with her papa cat. She was a good daughter. She cleaned all of the litter boxes and made mouth-watering meals for her papa, like rat stew and fish soup. However, Papa Cat was lonely and he longed to have a wife again. A few weeks later, Papa Cat signed up for a dating app called Perfect Match in order to find a wife. He went on many dates before he finally met a beautiful white Persian cat with piercing blue eyes, blue like glaciers. Her name was Meanie, and she enjoyed long walks on the beach, candlelit tuna dinners, and she herself had 2 adorable calico kittens, Zoe and Chloe. Papa Cat fell in love with Meanie and soon married her. Papa, it makes me smile to see you so happy with your new wife, Catarella whispered to her papa. But Catarella's happiness would soon wither away like a rose in the middle of winter. As soon as Nini and her daughters moved in, everything went wrong. When Papa Cat wasn't looking, Nini and her 2 daughters would be very cruel to Catarella. Why is there so much poop in my litter box? Catarella asked her stepsisters. Because we felt like pooping in your litter box. Your box is nicer than ours. One day, Catarella was searching for her favorite mouse toy when she spotted Zoe ripping the threads off of her toy. Zoe, why must you destroy my toy? This is your toy? It's so old. I felt like destroying something today. She yawned. Chloe, Catarella asked, may I get my pillow back? You're kidding, right? This is my pillow now, Chloe said firmly. Catarella would mysteriously find white long hairs on her favorite dresses in her closet. Catarella would cry at night, meowing softly into her pillow, wondering, Papa, why did you choose to marry Meanie? Despite their wickedness, she remained kind to them. One day, Papa Cat had to fly to Kathmandu on a business trip. Day in and day out, poor Catarella was forced to do all the chores for her malicious stepmother and stepsisters. Catarella was unhappy and disliked her stepmother and stepsisters very much. A few evenings later, Catarella was returning from a hunt when she saw a fancy invitation on the door from Meowth the prince. The invitation said the family of the house is invited to a cat ball at the Kitty Suite in the Empire State Building and to wear elegant gowns. There would be mouth-watering sushi, scrumptious tuna bites, and all kinds of delicious cat treats. Catarella sprinted in meowing, unable to contain her excitement. Guys, we've been invited to a ball. Oh, I can't wait to go and dance and prance with the prince. Catarella, what makes you think you're going? You don't have any pretty dresses. Well, I'm a great seamstress. I can make a gown out of yarn, Catarella painfully replied, looking down at her tired paws. The stepmother glared at Catarella and rudely said, well, let's see if you can make your fancy gown in time for the ball. Catarella worked really hard. She began by taking out her knitting needles and going to the yarn shop in town. Her stepmother and stepsisters had stolen much of her money, so with the little money she had, she chose bright blue yarn the color of peacock feathers and wove a beautiful dress in time for the ball. She made a crown out of daisies and dahlias from her garden and painted her tiny claws a sky blue. On the day of the ball, she went downstairs to proudly show her dress off to her stepmother and stepsisters. Catarella did indeed look gorgeous, and she purred with joy. Meanie, Zoe, and Chloe were doing some finishing touches on their own dresses when their eyes fell on Catarella. Catarella asked, ladies, what do you think of my outfit? I made it myself. That is pretty, said Zoe. Yes, it is pretty for now, growled Meanie while looking at her daughters. Zoe and Chloe immediately understood what Mother wanted them to do. They began to circle Catarella. Zoe lied, you have some yarn hanging. Zoe and Chloe pulled the yarn, Catarella's dress coming apart. Chloe left a disgusting hairball on the torn parts of Catarella's dress, ruining it even more. Meanie locked eyes with Catarella, who sat on the floor on her tattered dress. That's too bad, Catarella, Meanie spat. It was pretty. Catarella was devastated as she watched Meanie, Zoe, and Chloe leave for the ball. Her tears clouded her eyes and spilled on the floor as she wished out loud, I wish I could go to the ball. How I wish it so. The floor suddenly started to tremble and a sweet song started to play. Out of thin air appeared a cat fairy. Catarella could not believe her eyes. It was Paws, the fairy cat mother. My dear, why do you cry so intensely? Asked Paws the cat mother. Paws? I thought you were make-believe from my fairy tale books. Are you really my fairy cat mother? Paws laughed with delight. Of course I am, Catarella. I'm here to help you get to the ball on time. Catarella replied with tears in her eyes, but my wicked stepmother and stepsisters tore my dress apart. It's ruined. Paws looked down at the destroyed dress and responded with a smile. Well, I have a magic wand and I think I can make a pretty dress in no time. Paws swirled her magic wand around Catarella, and the magic fairy dust floated in the air as Catarella's blue yarn dress began to transform into a dazzling sky blue dress. Catarella suddenly had a touch of pink blush on her cheeks and a diamond collar appeared around her neck. Catarella glanced in the mirror and was amazed. The tears from her eyes had disappeared and her reflection showed a very elegant cat. Oh, thank you, Paws, my fairy cat mother. I will run to the ball now. Tisk, tisk, tisk. No, you will not. I will turn the pumpkin into a carriage and the neighborhood dogs into horses. Those pesky dogs are just sleeping on the yard anyway. You look like a princess now, and I do not want you to tear your dress. Catarella nodded. Oh, Catarella, before you leave, remember you must leave the kitty suite by midnight. Once the clock strikes 12 o'clock, your dress will be transformed back into your torn one. I promise to leave by midnight. Thank you, thank you, thank you, fairy cat mother. Catarella was whisked into the night in her carriage towards the magnificent Empire State Building. When she arrived, the whole suite was lit up with lanterns, the halls smelled of jasmine flowers, and the music filled the ballroom. Cats, skunks, possums, and otters danced happily as Catarella walked around the ballroom, admiring everything. She took one bite of sushi when her eyes met Prince Meowth's strikingly brown eyes. His eyes were brown like almonds. He smiled at her across the ballroom and began to walk towards her, his smile growing even bigger like a crescent moon. You're a very cute cat. I've never seen you before, said Prince Meow. Catarella blushed a deep red. Her cheeks were two strawberries. Well, you are handsome yourself, Prince Meow. May I have this dance? Prince Meow asked. Catarella could not resist his charms and began to twirl in his arms. They laughed and purred together and could not keep their eyes off one another, even when a fly flew past their whiskers. Across the ballroom, Meanie watched as the prince danced with Catarella, but Meanie did not recognize her. Who is that cat? Meanie asked. Mr. Skunkles, the skunk who was near her, responded. I do not know, but that cat is quite the looker. I want to dance with Prince, Mother, Chloe interrupted. Yes, I look pretty. Why doesn't he dance with me? Zoe asked in an annoying tone. Patience, my little kittens. Perhaps he will soon stop dancing with that cat. Prince Meow did not stop dancing with Catarella. In fact, they stepped outside to admire the flowers and spoke for quite some time about their favorite foods like tuna and slices of turkey. They spoke about their favorite hobbies, jumping into boxes and chasing and killing crickets. They had so much in common. Prince Meow began to say, You are the coolest cat. We've been dancing for hours and I don't even know your name or where you live. What is your ding, ding, ding? The clock tower struck midnight. Having remembered what her fairy cat mother had said, she told the prince, I have to go, Prince Meow. I am very sorry. Catarella ran down the steps, her diamond collar falling from her neck. Prince Meow quickly picked up the collar and yelled out, but I must know your name. It was too late. She had completely disappeared from his vision. Midway back to her house, the carriage turned back into the pumpkin, and the horses turned back into the pesky neighborhood dogs. Realizing there was a cat on their backs, they barked at her and left her on the road. She walked back home in her tattered dress, smiling all the way, thinking of her dance with the prince. When Meanie, Zoe, and Chloe returned, Catarella was washing the dishes back home. I'm glad you're doing your chores, Catarella. It is as it should be, Meanie said. How was the ball? Catarella asked. Zoe and Chloe chimed in. Oh, it was boring. The prince didn't even look our way. We're so cute and like he didn't even care. So rude. Yeah, so rude. He was dancing with one cat the whole night. Maybe it's because she was wearing a pretty collar. Catarella reached for her neck. My necklace must have fallen. Oh no, I hope Paws will not be upset, Catarella thought to herself. The next morning, back at the kitty suite in the Empire State Building, Prince Meow told his butler, I need to find that cat. She was smart, funny, and very cute. I mean, did you see her fluffy ears and her fluffy tail? Meowsers. Prince, I think we should go find this cat maiden. We can ask all the cat maidens to try the diamond collar on. The collar must fit the right cat you're looking for, the butler insisted. The prince agreed, and so they went from house to house, trying the diamond collar on all kinds of cat maidens, Siamese, Burmese, calicos, and sphinxes. The prince was getting very tired when they arrived at the last mansion. I'm losing hope. I hope we can find her here. Knock, knock, knock. Prince Meow knocked on the door with his paw pads. Zoe answered the door. Mom, Prince Meow is here. Meanie ran to the door and welcomed the prince in. I'm here to try the collar on any maiden of the house. I danced with the most beautiful cat last night at the ball, and I'm looking for her to be my wife. It must be me, purred Chloe. Yeah, right, Chloe. I'm the cuter one. The prince rolled his eyes, but tried the collar on them either way. It was too big on their tiny kitten necks. Meanwhile, Catarella, who had been making chicken pot pie in the kitchen, came into the living room covered in flour. Poor Catarella, even her pink nose had flour on it. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't know we had guests, she stammered when her eyes locked with Prince Meow. I just noticed I forgot to add the rest of the story, so hold on a second, guys. And remember, this is the conclusion that I went with. Is it really you? Sure, you're covered in flour, but I remember those green eyes. Yes, Prince Meow, it's me. I never told you my name. My name is Catarella. No, it can't be. We ruined her dress, Meanie shrieked. What? No way, Zoe blurted out. Prince Meow ignored Meanie and her daughter's cries and walked up to Catarella. He shook the flour from her whiskers and asked, May I? She nodded while he clasped the diamond collar around her neck. It's a perfect fit, he smiled. They nuzzled their noses together and he asked, Will you be my wife? Yes, Prince Meow, I will be your wife. Good. Pack your favorite cat toys, bowls, and treats. You're coming back to the Empire State Building with me. The wicked stepmother and stepsisters watched with envy as Catarella rode towards the castle, towards the Empire State Building. The next evening, Catarella married Prince Meow, and she wore the most beautiful, bright sky blue gown any cat had ever seen. They lived happily ever after. So I'm going to go back to my other screen. 1 second, guys. Because now I've read my fairy tale one last time, and I'm just going to go through my checklist and just double check that, you know, my fairy tale is as good as it's going to get. Like, I want to make sure I have a really strong fairy tale. So I'm going to go through my list. I've already done a few of the check boxes. Do I have an engaging introduction? I do, right? I started describing the setting with a lot of detail. Do I have at least 10 examples of dialogue throughout the story? I would say I have more than 10 examples. I have many of the characters, whether it's Catarella or Prince Meow or Zoe, Chloe, or Meanie talking in the story, and it really shows their personality, right? Huh? Get it? Personality. Did I use juicy words such as interesting adjectives and verbs? I did. I tried to use a lot of juicy words in there, a lot of interesting verbs. Do I have different dialogue tags instead of just the word said? I made sure that I didn't have too many saids in there. I have replied, responded, whispered, answered, sobbed, right? Did I finish my fairy tale adaptation with a bang? I would say so. It's a normal ending. There's no surprise twist or anything. It's your very common fairy tale ending, but that's still a strong ending. Did I edit my fairy tale adaptation? Punctuation, capitalization, absolutely. I did not forget question marks, commas, periods. Did I capitalize every letter at the beginning of every word at the beginning of a sentence? I did. I capitalized their names as well because those are proper nouns. So this is what you're gonna do for this lesson. And if you haven't written your fairy tale adaptation so far, I highly recommend that you go back and watch some of my other videos on my channel for the fairy tale adaptation. So now it's your turn. Go read your fairy tale. I hope that you wrote this checklist down so that you can compare your fairy tale to the checklist to verify, I say, you say verify that you finished and you're ready to publish. And I know some of you don't have computers at home. We're trying to work on it. So hopefully, crossing my fingers, that we'll be able to get you guys laptops so that you can type your stories and essays and all that good stuff at home. See you guys in the next video.